we don't need a radio. Mock, yeah, bird, yeah, 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 yeah. A mockingbird, though. Everybody, have you heard? She's gonna buy me a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't, she's gonna buy me a diamond ring. And guys, can't we just listen to the radio? Pills are good. Pills are good. That's right, people. We're leaving Kansas City today, and this is the worst cameraman action you've ever had. It was fun. I walked around downtown last night. I had a couple libations. I took the recommendation of a girl that was working this event of where to eat, and boy, was it not right. But it's okay, sometimes you don't win everything. The other big thing is that I'm trying to drive 519 miles today, all the way to Chicago, and my plan is to stay in Chicago for 2 days. Got this really cool boutique hotel going on for a great deal on Hotels.com. Oh, we're cruising through. Look at this. This is the big metropolis. I mean, it's not like LA, but it feels kind of like it. This is totally illegal, by the way, because this camera's on hands-free right now. So I'm going to sign off and talk to you soon, maybe halfway between here and there. Also, this might sound stupid, but I think I'm already in a different state, because I'm pretty sure, as I keep looking around, that we're no longer in Kansas. We're not in Kansas anymore. I think we're in Missouri, but I never saw a sign. So I'm here in Illinois on Interstate 72, and I gotta say, there hasn't been a single restaurant. Not even when I drove through Missouri, there wasn't no road stops. So I think I gotta find the right roads for long-term travel, because now I gotta go into someone's establishment, and I hate doing that. It used to be my biggest pet peeve when I had a girlfriend that would always have to go pee, and they'd always want to go into some store or restaurant but then not be a customer. I don't know why, it bothers me. So that's that on that. Well, I have some travel advice for the travelers, and sometimes when you're looking at hotel prices, you're like, wow, this one's $15 more, $20 more, but sometimes that $10 or $15 can make all the difference in the world. And it might include things of free breakfast, and not just crappy free breakfast. We're talking high-end. This morning I made waffles, and there was all kinds of there's these potato O'Brien kind of thing, and I got orange juice and coffee. That would have cost me probably easily $10 or $15 if I were to go buy it somewhere at a restaurant, and the time it would. So I ate part of it, and some of it I brought with me, and I put it right here on my little eating table. And then as I went along, so today I have not purchased food. All I've bought today is gas and water. That's it. So sometimes a little bit more expensive hotel can actually save you money in the long run. Funny, Adam's giving budget advice now. That'll be the day. Maybe I should write a book.
The caveat that, of course, you should not check your phone.
Chicago. Oh, Chicago.
Use the right lane to take exit 53C, then keep right.
Okay. This is complicated. It was take the right exit 53C to Expressway 57989er. It's man, hopefully I don't get lost. I'm all in the Chi-Town, Windy City. Oh my God. Solo traveling is the way to do it, peeps. That was the most enjoyable 8-hour drive I've ever done in my whole life. We're keeping right. Keeping right. We're going to take you into the city together. Together! We can do it. Together. We can make it happen. I came here once when I was a little boy with my parents. There was a True Value supply convention or something, and I just remember it being really windy, and I was like, where's Michael Jordan? I couldn't find him. Then we left. Okay, I truly think that maybe it's possible that the Chicago might be like, and this is me being novice, not knowing much about both cities, but like San Francisco and New York, isn't it kind of like a combination of those two things? I mean, it's such a beautiful skyline. I actually like this skyline better than San Francisco. It's amazing. Honestly, I'm gonna freak a lot of my family out and friends, but I mean, I want to live here. Oh, at least for a year of my life at some point. Like, why not? God, this is so cool. Going around to my boutique hotel that I got on serious discount with Hotels.com. Thank you very much for that. That was amazing. It says I'm close to the beach. I'm guessing the beach with these this thing over here. I think they call it an ocean lake. Oh yeah, a Great Lake. That's what they call that, a Great Lake. Isn't this beautiful? This is gonna be my most favorite stop, unless something bad happens to me. But this should be my most favorite spot. Stop along the way. I'm actually staying here for 2 whole days, or today, all of tomorrow, and then I leave sometime Wednesday, and then I still have about 10.5 hours to my camp. Improv Utopia East. Yeah, that's right. I just said it out loud. Oh my God. And that gives me, I think I don't have to be there till Friday at 4 p.m. So if I leave Wednesday, I might make one more stop somewhere between here and there. I also want to go see Stratton, where the Office original footage of their intro is filmed. Do some fun things there. You know, that kind of stuff.
So if we get to the driver on the way here, we got lots of seats. Come on in.
Let them out, let them out, let them out. They gotta come out first. Yo, we're seeing this stuff here. No rush for me.
Just for a second. Well, there's only room for so many people.
Inside the Fourth Presbyterian Church. They say if you get married inside the Fourth Presbyterian Church, you'll never get divorced. I think it has something to do with that 2-year waiting list myself, but I don't know, just a theory. We're in the Gold Coast. That's the name of this neighborhood, the Gold Coast. This is where the rich come to play, to eat, to live, to drink, to buy fancy cars. Yeah, we got a Rolls Royce and a Bentley dealership on our left. There's my Lambo. Hey baby, I'm coming for you. Need a new car. There's a Tesla dealership a block to our right. That's where you get inside a Tesla while you're in town. Peak of the Sofitel Hotel up into the right. Extends for 33 feet over the sidewalk underneath it. I need a new car. I think I'm going to get the lot. Not even a parking garage, a parking lot, as long as I lived here. Owned by the Holy Name Cathedral. They held on to this prime piece of real estate for decades. Finally sold it a few years ago for $110 million. All these office workers on their lunch break, enjoying a peaceful meal in front of the Chicago River. On the right-hand side, that's also a dock for the Chicago Water Taxi, which is another fairly new development here in Chicago. The Chicago Water Taxi. $10 gets you an all-day pass on the Chicago Water Taxi, the big yellow boat. Trust me on this one. Chocolate cake milkshake. Stop 13 is also home to the Hard Rock Cafe. We are the official double-decker bus of the Hard Rock Cafe. There's a sign right there. $5 off your $35 meal with your big bus ticket at the Hard Rock. And yes, that is a McDonald's. All that and more await you at stop number 13. This is stop number 13. Who's hungry? Thank you.
Conversations. We're talking on your cell phone. If you need to take a cell phone call, do it so downstairs away from everyone else. You can get downstairs with the staircase to my right, the staircase in the back. Downstairs you find the rest, you can move it on the side to the right, and on the left-hand side towards the front as well. And you can also find Crystal and her full-service bar. If you guys need any drinks or anything, she's got a full-service bar down there. Beer, wine, soda, mixed drinks, bottled water, chips, pretzels, anything like that. She's open the entire trip for you guys. So feel free to stand up, walk around, take pictures, visit downstairs anytime you'd like, guys. That's about it for me, guys. For the next 75 minutes, Becky's going to be your tour guide. Everyone say hello to Becky. You guys are all for a real good treat. She's one of the best we have here at Shoreline Sightseeing. So give it up for Becky. Let's go for a ride.
Thank you, Captain Nick. Thank you, everybody on the boat. Hi, everybody. I'm Becky. I will be your docent or tour guide. Everybody say hi, Becky. Yeah, make you do it twice. Makes me feel good inside. Okay, so this is unusual, but like, does anybody want a pair of women's sunglasses? Okay, it's yours. Hey, we got a winner. I think they're gonna scratch, but Trump Towers from 2009. It's a hotel and residential building. You can actually see the curtains through the windows. So this is hotel and residential, and it is from the architect Adrian Smith and the architecture firm Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. So, by the way, get used to hearing about Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, because you're going to hear a lot about Skidmore, Owings and Merrill on this tour. Now, look up the Trump. You see it's got these three, well, shield your eyes, 3 big setbacks, and also people washing the windows halfway up. These 3 big setbacks are at the height of neighboring buildings. The first setback is at the height of the Wrigley Building without its clock tower. The second setback is at the height of that beautiful domed building on the left. Looks kind of like, I don't know, an ancient Roman temple at the top. Yeah, this is another office tower designed to look like a religious building, classical revivalism, the Jewelers Building from 27. And the third setback on the Trump is at the height of this plain black tower on the right. So, the Trump Tower tips its hat to its more historic neighbors. This is called contextualism, like context. Yeah, simple idea. Buildings designed for where they are. This is popular since the 80s. It is part of postmodernism. Contextualism. You're going to see a lot on this tour. Coming up, get your cameras out for the round skyscrapers, iconic in Chicago. Marina City. Nobody calls them Marina City. Everybody calls them the Corncob Towers. Yeah, that's exactly what they look like. Giant corn with balconies. They're from 1967 by the architect Bertrand Goldberg. They look like they're from the 60s. Yeah, they look like they're from the Jetsons, is what they look like. They are from that architect Bertrand Goldberg, who's one of my faves. He loves circles, which is already rare and interesting in architecture, but also he loves a social experiment. These apartments are a social experiment. In the 60s, this neighborhood wasn't like this. This neighborhood was considered a dangerous warehouse district on the waterfront. So in the 60s, when these apartments were built, they were built with like a whole neighborhood in your building, with the restaurants at the ground level here you see, and also the marina that you see at the river. The building was also built with a grocery store, bowling alley, ice skating rink, and a movie theater all in the building. Again, like a whole neighborhood in your building. And hello, young person. Everybody wave at the young person. I maintain a mandatory wave back to children policy on this boat. You've been informed. So this building, yeah, a city within a city, that was the concept. It was super successful. People moved in, even though downtown was not a residential neighborhood. This is kind of the beginning of kind of residential, I don't know, renaissance of downtown, the Corncob Towers, Bertrand Goldberg. And at this point, I like to turn around and see what I'm looking at. Oh, we've got a big giant boat called Feline Better, docked at this dining area on the right here. Life's good. On the left, little duckies on the Riverwalk. That's cute. Urban safari moment. People taking a super cool photo show up on the bridge. Or are they construction workers? I literally cannot tell. They may be working on their boat or their vehicle. Okay. I'm taking this little interlude. I want you to notice the red brick building we're going to pass on the right, this big old building. This is from 1914. This is an older building. Oh, chocolate. One of my favorite things about this view is this line of buildings on the right, with this flat pink building, which flows into this curving white building, and then the curving blue building, convex, and then or concave, and then convex. It's like a tricolor flag or something. Let's talk about the white building with the curving face. It's Riverbend from 2002. This building is referencing the river with its curve. It's kind of tipping its hat to the river, and it's in the name too, Riverbend. The back end of the building, no apartments. all the apartments face one direction. And this was to take advantage of river views to your left that they lost a year and a half ago to Wolf Point West. Yeah, in Chicago, nobody owns their view rights, so they were just out of luck. And that happens all the time here. So if you ever buy a condo with a nice view, expect it to be gone. Impermanence, right? That nice Buddhist tenant. But we get that view to the left right here on the other side of this building. We've got, they call this the canyon of skyscrapers down the main branch. A view that's currently changing with that tower smack dab in the middle, Chicago's new third tallest tower. We'll be talking about it when we get right next to it at the end of the tour. It's right on the river. But let's start talking about this building to the right with the circle windows at the base of it. These circle windows, they're exhaust fans. Why is there something making exhaust under the building? It's railroad tracks. Amtrak laid their railroad tracks right next to the old industrial river on the South Branch in the 1800s. So this was some of the last land to get covered in skyscrapers in downtown Chicago. If I want to build on the railroad tracks, how does that work? Well, I can't buy the land. Amtrak doesn't sell the railroad tracks. They do sell what they're not using, which is air. I literally pay for air, and then Amtrak allows me support columns between the train tracks on top of which I built my skyscraper on my air. That's how this was built to your right. Check out this building with the narrow base. That 30-foot wide footprint is exactly what's holding up the entire building. All that office space sticks out of that central concrete core, cantilevered on grade 4 steel beams, much higher grade steel than you typically see in skyscraper architecture, but you know, risky structural engineering calls for fancy, expensive materials. The building is 150 North Riverside by Getch Partners. And it's built in this shape because the back end of the building is on the railroad tracks. This side of the building has a bunch of people walking on the sidewalk. Why is it built like this? This is mandatory. By law in Chicago, when you have riverfront development, you must put it in 30 public access. So that's with that crazy narrow yeah, so, you know, just showy structural engineering, right? Showing off what they can do, maximizing square footage while still obeying the law and the constraints of a difficult building site. That's the architecture from Getch Partners. They love doing showy structural engineering. They're doing it again on the left here. This tower is going to be a big guy, over 800 feet tall, Bank of America tower. It's actually going to be the biggest office building built in Chicago in 30 years. This building also has interesting structural engineering going on. So you notice the ice cube shape, it's contemporary architecture style, ice cube looking buildings. At the base, it ends in this big V-shaped steel beam situation. Those big V-shaped steel beams will remain exposed in the final form of the building. The space created behind the V-shaped steel beams will be their open-air river walk that is mandated by law. So again, maximizing square footage while still obeying the law of public access. The vision is for Chicago to have eventually a continuous, uninterrupted public waterfront wherever there is river. It will take, you know, hundreds of years for that to come true, but Chicago's good at waiting. We like our city planning, long-term vision. We'll talk more about our city planning later. Let's talk about the super cool buildings on both sides of us. They're very similar. The material is limestone. The year, 1929, same year. The buildings also have vertical stripes in the form of their windows and setbacks, the kind of throne shape on the left or the staircase effect on the right. This is Art Deco. Again, this is your moment where you really recognize what Art Deco looks like. Similarities between these buildings. So yeah, the Opera House on the left, we've got an office tower on the right, 2 North Riverside Plaza. Now, Art Deco is such an interesting moment in the history of skyscraper architecture. Basically, it's the 1920s, the roaring 20s. America has wealth, so skyscrapers get built. A whole bunch of Art Deco skyscrapers get built. And then, in 1929, the stock market crashes. The Great Depression happens in the 30s, and in the 40s, World War II happens. Basically, a whole bunch of Art Deco skyscrapers get built, and then no skyscrapers get built for 25 years. There's this big gap in skyscraper history. When people finally start building skyscrapers again after World War II, they don't look like they used to, like Art Deco. They look radically different. They look like this on the right, the plain glass box building. So here's the deal. Imagine you're looking at a building like this, but all you know is Art Deco and the old European style buildings. This would have been a pretty exciting and radical experience to view these glass buildings. This was once a radical style and fresh, introduced by a guy named Mies van der Rohe, father of modern skyscraper. He's, quote, less is more. This is a less is more skyscraper. But it's quickly picked up by the masses, if you will, and if you built a skyscraper in the 50s and 60s, they probably look just like these glass boxes. These are not Mies van der Rohe buildings, they're copycat buildings by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, the same architecture for that book, the Gateway 1 and 2, they're twins. They're from the 60s. If you look underneath the skyscrapers, all those columns and the trains, that's what Air Right's construction looks like. Every single building on the right is built on the railroad tracks. This is actually Union Station, the train station. Now, if this is the typical building of the 60s, people did eventually get tired of building the same glass box over and over again. See, it's super repetitive. In the 70s, people started building different. That was Gateway 2, the black building, the white building on the right. Gateway 3, 1971. What's the difference? Yeah, not much of a difference. It's white now. Exactly. What they've done here is they've taken the plainest possible building and they made it look even plainer by covering it in concrete. The concrete is not structural. It doesn't have a function. It's decoration to look plain. That's exactly what it is. They call this 70s style the international style. The big picture here is like, do you need an apartment building in Atlanta, Georgia? Put up a box. Do you need an office tower in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia? Put up a box. Do you need anything anywhere? Put up a box. It's one size fits all architecture. It's the modernist era, less is more, the 70s. In the 80s, things change. That white building is Gateway 3. The shiny green building is Gateway 4. 1983. We're done with less is more, modernism. It's the start of postmodernism. So look what's going on with this building. Look at the way it reflects the building, the white building. Look at that reflection. It's gorgeous. This building is green like the river. The glass bubbles out. It creates a water-like reflection. It's almost like you could take a knife and cut a square out of this river and turn it into a building. That's what that looks like. It looks like a building made out of river. How postmodern? Yeah, it's postmodernism and contextualism. The opposite of one size fits all is contextualism. The opposite of modernism, postmodernism. And that curve of the building on the right, that's like the curve of the head of a sun river. And that reflection is always beautiful. You see the 80s skyscrapers have aged well. Yeah, they have. This building looks much more contemporary than the boxy ones of the modernist era. South Branch is opening up out here, kind of slowly exiting downtown. We're going to pass another giant building on the right with, notice the vertical striped windows. It's Art Deco, 1930. This building's under construction. It's getting turned into office space. When it's completed, a whole bunch of corporate headquarters are moving in. It's 2.5 million square feet of space. The anchor tenant, the most important tenant, Walgreens corporate headquarters, is moving back into downtown Chicago from the suburbs. Now this building, when we get a big look at it, unless you already know what this was built to be originally, you'd likely never guess what you're looking at. Because you're looking at a 1930 world's largest post office building. It's the world's largest post office. This building used to make perfect sense as a giant post office. Think of these Chicago names: Montgomery Ward, Spiegel, Sears and Roebuck. Catalogs. Catalogs were essentially invented here in Chicago, and that was a big deal. In the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, if you lived in America and you bought something, you were probably buying it from a catalog and shipped to your house from that post office. And I mean it literally, that post office. It's it time. Great photo to your right. It'll fill your whole lens. The Merchandise Mart was built by the same architecture firm that built the White Wrigley building. But this is not that old-fashioned European style. This is futuristic, Art Deco. Notice, on Art Deco style buildings, the vertical lines sweeping your eyes up, the inset ribbon windows create vertical stripes. The setbacks at the top, like a staircase, make the building feel taller as well. And the decoration on the building is repetitive geometry, like the diamonds at the top and the bottom of the building. Machine stamped. This is the late 1920s Art Deco, an era when Americans are obsessed with industrialization, mass production, machines, robots even, literally. Super futuristic era, the architecture reflects it. We're going to see a lot of Art Deco buildings on this tour. The dead giveaway, the vertical stripes on the buildings. We'll talk more about that building when we pass again the Merchandise Mart from 1930, the giant one. But first, behold, Wolf Point. Like the animal, Wolf Point. Oh, yeah, you get the. I do that for my captain. He thinks I'm an idiot when I do that. Yeah, this is Wolf Point. That's what it's called. Behind us, the main branch. To your left, the south branch. Around the bend to the right, the north branch. We'll go everywhere. We'll go everywhere. But yeah, take it all in, man, because this part of the river is gorgeous. And this part of the river has changed very much recently. Ahead of us, to your left, that tall blue glassy tower. Directly ahead of us, the tall blue glassy tower, reflecting the cloud to us in a really pretty way. And off to the right, the tall blue glassy tower. These are all just a year and a half old. They're all new buildings. And if you're wondering what contemporary skyscraper architecture looks like, here is your answer. Oh, get your cameras out, point it to the left. The L is about to cross the bridge and show you the south branch. It's a perfect photo. Also, it's selling you liquor, whatever. But yeah, the L, Chicago's iconic public transit. Ta-da! Now these two glass buildings on the left, these are office towers, about 50 floors high. We'll talk about these, including this one with the crazy narrow base where the L is right now. The one on the right, this glass tower, is Wolf Point West. It is a 47-floor apartment building. Now, by the way, contemporary architecture looks like this: big blue glassy monoliths. There's a drone doing photo footage of us on right there. Yeah, so contemporary architecture style, I call them ice cubes. They look like big ice cubes, these buildings going up around us. Now, yeah, this is a luxury apartment building. You can see somebody getting a tan on the pool deck over there above the green. And the building under construction next to us with the tower crane, that is going to be a 60-floor tall apartment building. So Wolf Point West, that's Wolf Point East. In the middle will be Wolf Point South, a third skyscraper coming in here. A big one, almost twice the size of the one we're passing on the right. It's going to be an office tower, Salesforce tower. And what was here before? Before three skyscrapers? I love this story. They tore down a parking garage to make way for three enormous skyscrapers, because that's what this river is like. It's a recreational waterfront now, full of pleasure cruisers and kayakers now, but before the 90s, this river wasn't like that. This river was an industrial river. We got this old railroad bridge up ahead of us. This is over 100 years old. But this river was an industrial river, and you know, if you know what an industrial river is, you know that basically means it was a dump and a sewer. The river was a dump and a sewer. So you do things like, you know, build parking garages to park your car at, but you didn't want to park your body on this river like residential. That happened in the 90s, the 2000s. This old railroad bridge is never going to get torn down. It's a landmark. It's protected. It's basically a big monument to itself, reflecting the old industrial river. To your left, from 1990, the weird river cottages. Circle windows, like portholes on a boat. Triangle shapes, like sails on a boat. They are 4 townhomes with dock access, and they are by Harry Weiss from 1990. This is a great example of postmodernism as a style. Like, you're gonna build townhomes on the water? Make them look like a sailboat. It's wacky, it's weird, it's postmodernist. And those are the river cottages, all owned by their original owners, except one, which was sold 2 years ago, after 2 weeks on the market for $2.5 million. Greek temple, the Parthenon, but stretched into a skyscraper. This is another thing that the postmodernists like to do. It's like remix architecture styles from history. The building's 77 West Wacker by Ricardo Bofill from 1992. It has a cool optical illusion. When you pass by right next to the building, it looks see-through. It looks like those clouds are the same clouds behind it. That's cool. Compare that light and airy see-through feeling building to its neighbor. 55 West Wacker. Oh, yeah, big contrast. Yeah, big heavy slabs of raw poured concrete. This style of architecture is the funniest name of architecture styles. Brutalism. Brr. Brutalism. More typically, you see buildings like this in your local public library, your local college campus, your local hospital, your local prison. It's institutional architecture. It's cheap to build, and it's literally got the weight of moral authority behind it. The institution. It's part of that less is more boxy modernist era of the 50s and 60s. Brutalism. Brutalism was built all over the world. No, probably no matter where you're from, you've seen brutalism before. And if I'm wrong, come tell me where you're from. The Riverwalk to your right is busy. Now, up ahead of us to your right, I want you to check out that dark green skyscraper with the shiny gold top. That's real gold, 24 karat gold leaf. That's the Carbide and Carbon building from 1929. Built at the height of Prohibition when alcohol was illegal, and designed to have a green base, a green neck, and a gold cap. It is a champagne bottle skyscraper. Yeah. That is Chicago in the 20s, right? Like, America says, hey, alcohol's illegal. And Chicago says, hey, how about no? Cool, works for us, bye. So illegal bars are everywhere in Chicago in the 20s called speakeasies run by gangsters and bootleggers like Al Capone. The Roaring 20s, also the jazz era. You can hear the jazz music. We are kind of entering the middle of the 1920s. On the other side of this bridge, we're going to see a whole bunch of 1920s era buildings. Oh, you know what we are right now, why we've slowed down? We're stuck behind that dining boat. The Odyssey! They're annoyingly slow. Of course, like, what difference does it make to us? Like, we're on a pleasure cruise. It's like, remember that, Becky, we're on a pleasure cruise, remember that. All right, look around you at all these 20s era skyscrapers. To your right, the building with the dome at the top, 1927. The gold top building, 1929. The white building directly ahead of us, 1928. To the left where it says London House, 1923. The white building on the left, the Wrigley building, 1921. We saw that before, and there's a Wrigley building behind it from 1924. There are even more 20s era skyscrapers that I'm not pointing out because they're not as exciting as the ones I pointed out. But yeah, we're in the middle of the 20s here in Chicago. Again, literally, you know, the jazz era, like the hottest jazz club in Chicago was to the left of where it says London House, that stone tower from 1923. That white building ahead of us with the skinny white tower, that's Mather Tower, 1928. Originally offices, kind of, it has elements of Gothic cathedral architecture. It's Gothic revivalism. An office tower designed to look like a religious building. Now it's a hotel building. Also to the right, up where it says London House. So this glass facade, this is not a separate building. Technically, it's considered an addition, which I think is hilarious. It's an addition to the building to the left. Originally, the London Guarantee and Accident Building, it was insurance offices, what it was called. About 5 years ago, it was turned into a boutique hotel. It's the London House Hotel. So that whole section of the glass and this whole building is the London House Hotel. Oh, hello, friends! They took my bus tour. Good to see you. Enjoy your ride. They were like, where do we get a cold drink? And they decided on the Riverwalk. I was like, make sure you say hi to me. So all of you, make sure you say hi to me. All right. Yeah, that's the London House Hotel. Up where it says London House, that is a rooftop bar. So if you're looking for a nice rooftop to get a drink at, London House Hotel, yes. Highly recommend. Did you already go there? Yeah, you had a good time. Yeah, the view is pretty killer because you look all the way up the main bridge that way and down this way. It's a nice view. London House Hotel. They do have a dress code in the evening, so like no shorts after 6 or 7 or whatever. Look it up. Don't quote me. They don't abide by it. I wouldn't think so either. Yeah, they don't really enforce it. Now, to the left, the stone tower with the construction scaffolding at the top. It looks like a French Gothic cathedral at the top, like the Notre Dame in Paris or something like that. That is another, again, office tower designed to look like a religious building. It's Gothic revivalism, 1924. That's the Chicago Tribune Tower, as in the Chicago Tribune newspaper. Remember newspapers? Yeah. They couldn't afford to hold on to this building anymore. They sold it last year. It's getting turned into luxury apartments right now. That's why it's under construction. Yeah, so exactly. Everybody in Chicago's like, oh man, luxury apartments. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so that's the Tribune Tower, 1924. If you want to see some cool demolition, go hang out by the Tribune Tower. It is getting torn up right now. Now this bridge is the reason why we're in the middle of the Roaring 20s. This bridge was built in the year 1920, and it basically extended downtown north of the river, creating new downtown just in time for this building boom. So this is really the middle of the Roaring 20s in Chicago. But that bridge also marks our historical lakefront. Everything ahead of you used to be the lake.
Did the bridges, like from the first time they were built, fold or they got rebuilt?
The bridges were originally built to open, and they are mostly from over 100 years ago. And some of them are actually the same bridge from 100 years ago. Slowly they're being replaced by exact replicas. But yeah, they're called Chicago bridges. When they're built around the world, they're called Chicago bridges because it's something that we needed to have perfected here for a shipping corridor, shipping canal, shipping channel. That's what this river was. Okay, now this is the old lakefront. Everything ahead of you is man-made land, built up starting after the fire when Chicago took all that rubble and, you know, dumped it in the lake. That's what Chicago did. Because this is the old lakefront, it's very historic here. In the 1700s, the left, where the Apple Store is, that's where Chicago's first settler lived, Jean-Baptiste Pointe du Sable. He was a fur trader and a farmer. And he sounds like he was French, Jean-Baptiste Pointe du Sable. He was not French, he was Haitian. He was Afro-Caribbean. He was not white, and he was not European, Chicago's first settler. They named the bridge after him, DuSable Bridge. Also because this is man-made land, these are newer buildings. To your left and up, check out the tall stone tower with the peacock logo at the top. That's NBC Tower. Yes, they do tape TV in there. The Steve Harvey Show gets taped in there. The Jerry Springer Show was taped in there for a very long time. That tower, it looks like Art Deco with vertical lines and setbacks on the building. But this is actually from 1989. It's a newer building. It's postmodernists remixing Art Deco. They call it Eco Deco. Super cute, super cute. It's a real architecture term. But yeah, if you're familiar with New York City, it looks like a baby Rockefeller Center. The building is by the architect Adrian Smith. Adrian Smith this is his early work. So 1989, Adrian Smith builds NBC Tower. 2009, 20 years later, Adrian Smith builds Trump Tower. 2009. Adrian Smith is also the architect of Millennium Park, where the Bean is. And Adrian Smith is also the architect of the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world. We're getting passed by a boat right here. Let's listen to their tour. They're aggro drivers here at that company. They got a shorter tour than we do.
So you never have to walk inside. It's lovely, pretty brutal, full of vortexes.
Okay. I want you to look hard left, over the trees between the two glass ice cubes. See that black tower? That's the Hancock. That's our little glimpse of it. It's built in 1969 by the same team that built the Sears Tower, same guys. It's Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. And that's where the bar and the observatory are, and that's like 4 blocks away from the end of our tour. So again, at the end of the tour, just get onto Michigan Avenue, where the bridge was. Just walk north 4 blocks, you're at the Hancock. If you haven't been into a skyscraper yet, what are you waiting for? It's a perfect day for it. Beautiful day. Or you could wait until sunset. It always gets busier at sunset, though. Okay, I want to talk to you about the 3-layer room right here. Ooh, bubbles. Magic bubbles. From Andre. Hi, Andre!
Chicago!
Welcome to Chicago, he says. He's blowing bubbles for us. We'll see you on the way back in, dude. Andre blows bubbles for us out of the goodness of his own heart. Somebody asked him why he blows bubbles. You know what he said? Because everybody loves bubbles. We love you, Andre! Andre's the bomb. If you ever pass him on Columbus Drive, say hello. Give him a little something. You know you're good. Anyway, moving on. I love it. And he says, welcome to Chicago. Oh, my heart, it breaks. I love you, Andre. Okay, the 3-layer road to your right. This is Wacker Drive. It's not much to look at, I know. But you've heard me say Wacker Drive before. It's a really common address for this tour because the skyscraper, because this road curves along the river. So a lot of the skyscrapers we see have that address. So the 3-layer road, each layer has a name. The top layer, upper Wacker. The middle layer, lower Wacker. And that makes the bottom layer, lower Wacker. The concept is the top layer is for local traffic. The middle layer is for through traffic. It's an expressway downtown. It's great for things like ambulances, by the way. And not great for things like GPS navigation. Do not trust your Google Maps lady in downtown Chicago. She will lie to you. She's a liar. The bottom layer, what's down there? It's like dumpsters, trash collection, towing. Yeah, city services that nobody wants to look at, basically. If you are visiting Chicago and you were surprised by how beautiful and clean downtown Chicago is, thank you. Thank you, Wacker Drive. We shove everything under you. It's like a rug you get to sweep things under. And that is called urban planning, guys. That is good urban planning. And Wacker Drive, this multi-layer highway, is from the city plan of 1909. That masterpiece of a city plan that I mentioned before is a responsible flyer and a total masterpiece. At this point in the tour, you know most of the major things from the city plan, so get ready for this. Wacker Drive, city plan of 1909. All the Riverwalks, city plan of 1909. All the unique bridges are from the city plan of 1909. Our grand boulevards like the Magnificent Mile Shopping District by Railroad Docks, city plan of 1909. Navy Piers from the city plan of 1909. Museum campus, that's where the Adler Planetarium, the Shattuck Rim, and the Field Museum are. That's from the city plan of 1909. And my favorite part, the city plan of 1909, is on the other side of the bridge. It's Chicago's waterfront. Think about every city or town you've ever been to. It's a bold statement, right? Chicago's waterfront, 27 miles long, 95% public. It's all parks. That's all. It's for everyone, forever. There's no other city or town in the world like that. And it's in large part because, you know, Chicago burnt down and got to start over from scratch and created all this man-made land. But it's not like business people don't try to build on the lakefront, because you know business people be trying to build on the lakefront all the time. They get sued and they lose generally, because in Chicago, there's this quote in the city plan that wins lawsuits. It's super simple and I love it. Quote, "The lakefront of Chicago shall remain free and open to the public forever." That's it. It is so simple and so unambiguous. It is a total lawsuit winner. What officially starts the public land, what's the line? It's this highway, Lakeshore Drive, our major north-south expressway. It's from the city plan in 1909. The highway is. Basically every major part of the city is from the city plan in 1909. Has anybody ever read Devil in the White City? Yeah, it's city plan in 1909. Written in part by Daniel Burnham, architect, written in 1893, and visionary. Full house. Hey. Marine unit. There's a lot of people on the back of that boat. All right. Hey, if this is our public lakefront here, what's that on the left? Yeah. That's not supposed to be there, guys. That is Lake Point Tower. Definitely not a park. Definitely a condo building. It was built in 1969 and it got sued when they started doing construction, but they won in court because it was enough of a gray area, and the coding and zoning of this area is supposed to be like mixed-use industrial riverfront here. That got to be built. Yeah, you know, probably the coding was left at gray area like that because, you know, people in Chicago are corrupt. That's what happens in Chicago. That's probably how this ended up getting built. But this will be the easternmost, lakefrontiest skyscraper in Chicago forever, and thus the only place in Chicago you will never lose your views. You will probably lose your views everywhere else. But that's Lake Point Tower, formerly known as the Flask Building, currently known as the Fidget Spinner Building. Yeah, the top is a restaurant called Cité, French cuisine. No, it does not rotate. To your right are big red fire boats at our first responder station. These fire boats are maybe the coolest thing on the entire tour. Also out there to the right, beautiful Lake Michigan, sailboats all over it. Beautiful day, end of the summer, people coming out. Straight ahead, Navy Pier stretches 3,000 feet out into Lake Michigan. Originally built in 1916 for shipping and cargo. It was in the 1940s a military training base. World War II. Late President George H.W. Bush trained for the military on Navy Pier in Chicago. After World War II ended, the base was closed. It was no longer needed as a base. The base was turned into a college campus. For 20 years, that was a college campus. Eventually, they got a land grant at that college and moved inland to UIC. And the pier became an attraction in the 80s, so it's been what it is now since the 1980s. It's known for the Ferris wheel. It's also got the Chicago Children's Museum, the Chicago Shakespeare Theater, and IMAX Theater, Beer Garden out at the end. Rooftop bar, brand new at the end of the pier. Food and boat rides, of course, including the Shoreline Sightseeing Lake Tour. Now you know. To your left, get your cameras out and take your photos of your skyline view of the Living Museum of Architecture. And while you enjoy that view, let's talk about the lake. Now, if you wanted to pass through to the lake from here, we're technically still in the river. You'd have to pass through a lock. That's a set of gates between two bodies of water, controls water level difference. The lock keeps the lake from draining too quickly into the river. The lake is currently about 5 feet higher than the river. That is unusually high. If you're from the Midwest or the Great Lakes region, you know it's been a rainy couple of seasons. It's wet, and there's been flooding, and Chicago's no different. We've lost 2 beaches permanently. Infrastructure disappearing into the lake, crumbling. And we're losing trees into the lake all the time. So yeah, Chicago's flooding. We'll see what happens. Nobody seems to be talking about it. What else? What else about the lake? Oh yeah, well, let's start talking about the lake. The lock is out there where the flags are flying, if you're curious about it, but that is the lock. That's where you pass through. Now, let's talk about the lake, Lake Michigan, because Lake Michigan is awesome and huge. It's about 100 miles wide, 300 miles up and down. At its deepest, over 1,000 feet deep, over 300 meters deep. It's huge. It is freshwater. I have been asked that question. Is it freshwater? Yes, it is a freshwater lake. It's kind of funny to get that question because I'm so used to it, but you know, the Great Lakes are normal for the people from the Great Lakes region, but they're not normal in the world. The Great Lakes are 5 lakes shared between the US and Canada, and they hold 20% of the world's freshwater in 5 lakes. They're massive. They call them freshwater seas. That's exactly what they are. They were gouged out of the earth 20,000 years ago by glaciers, which then melted and left behind these unique glacial lakes, freshwater seas. Of course, where Big Lake, Michigan hooks up with the Chicago River is quite geographically strategic. It's why the city is here. It's also why Native Americans were here before. The Illini, the Miami, the Potawatomi, they tended to trade through what is now downtown Chicago because this was not a pleasant place to live. It was a swamp, a big swampy river delta where the river emptied into the lake. Figure out what I'm going to tell you about this building. Look at it. Look at the floor of the building. Look at the left where it hits the sky. That building is not straight. Straight first. Look at that. And what I've actually never seen before is the glass on the building. You can barely tell on a cloudy day like today. The glass in that building is different colors. Light blue, dark blue, light blue, dark blue, or gradient up and down the building, emphasizing the curved form of the building. Basically makes this whole building look like a body of water. It is so cool. Here's the reason why I like this building, okay? It engages with the contemporary trends. It looks like the ice cubes a little bit, the contemporary trend of looking like an ice cube. But it doesn't really look like an ice cube. It looks like a melting ice cube or a body of water. It's taking contemporary trends and it's moving it forward a little bit, which I always appreciate. I'm not a fan of super repetitive buildings. There's that boat again. The Odyssey! Now this building, when it's done, Vista Tower will be the tallest building in the world built by a woman architect. Cool. That's the correct answer, young man. Yes, indeed. Woohoo! Yeah, so Vista Tower is by the architect Jeannie Gang, the first and only woman architect I mentioned on the tour. Jeannie Gang is a Chicago architect. She's kind of a superstar architect right now. She is currently, she just a few months ago won the bid to build O'Hare's new airport terminal, which will be $8.5 billion and in the shape of a Y, like Wolf Point. She's going to build it in the shape of the river. So yeah, this is one of her buildings, and it's really changing the skyline in the city. It's been fun to watch it get built and hear all of my boat co-workers' opinions on it, because everybody's architecturally literate on these boat tours. It's really beautiful, that's skyline. And you can see it's still not covered all the way at the top, but soon it will be.
morning. So I leave Chicago today. It's kind of bittersweet. I stayed an extra day because of my injury, and I thought that maybe that would help. But obviously, this injury is going to be with me for the next couple of months because it's like a bruised rib. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't put it in a cast. You can't mobilize it. It's there all the time. But man, being in a car again after a couple days off, it's weird. It's weird. I mean, I've done. You guys ready for this? Whew. Are you ready? After the reset, which is back in San Luis Obispo, that was a week ago on Thursday morning. So I'm at 2,849 miles, 53 hours driving, 53 miles an hour average, and an average MPG of 26.5. I do not work for Mercedes-Benz, although I would. Send me those ad money. I'll do ads for you guys all day long. And this woman next to me seems really upset, angry, almost as if, oh, my improv friend Steve's here on the message. It hurts to reach forward. I'm gonna have to like come up with a new way of doing things with this injury. I can't like reach the phone. I gotta have it closer to me, but I'm trying not to block my vision. I'm trying to be a good neighborly driver. I did not get honked at in New York yet, or at all. Maybe that's a sign I'm improving. Ow. Ah. And laughing hurts, which is hilarious because I'm on a laughing tour, right? Last night I went to Zany's, which was pretty epic. But like, if it was a good joke, I'd be like, ha 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 ha. So like, I knew when they were good is when I was like, like wincing in pain. So there's the 60 cents here. Fuck. Where's the change go? Fuck. I don't know. Do I need a receipt? I don't know. God, that hurts with bruised ribs. How many more tolls are there? Fuck. Jesus. Well, this is now an R-rated YouTube film because I'm saying the F word. That's right. We're at that point. Welcome to Indiana.